It's been said before, and I'll say it again. Nobody circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills. So where would you rather be than right here and right now on the Ralph Rant? Let's go.
Welcome to the Ralph Rant, your source for hard-hitting Buffalo Bills takes. Now, here's your host of the Ralph Rant, that veteran watcher of generations of Bills teams, the prophet who predicted Josh Allen's greatness, that opinionated so-and-so you've walked out on parties because of, the Ralph.
Welcome to the Ralph Rant. I am your host, the Ralph. And if you're asking where would you rather be, well, anywhere but the Ralph right now. What an opportunity to be the only undefeated team in the league. And you let the Patriots come in and do that? You let Stephon Diggs come in and eat your lunch? And dinner? Didn't see him have any of those drops like he did at the end of the AFC Championship game or whatever the hell it was a couple of years ago. I'm pissed, and I'm sure you're pissed also. Game 5, Bills versus Patriots. Bills win toss. Groot, sack. First down, New England. Bills ball, 14-yard line after the punt. McGovern has a hold. Penalty number 1. Kincaid, big catch, 21 yards. When have you ever handed the ball off to Dawson Knox before? What in the blue carnal fornication was that? How do you hand the ball off to Dawson Knox? That's McDermott. Well, we need to get in rhythm. Is that how you get in rhythm? Doink, running into Josh Allen, ball goes on the ground. You'll see I'm in black tonight. And I was so hot during this game, I was shirtless for it, actually. And I'm sure glad I did not purchase a rivalries jersey. Because the Bills ought to take those uniforms to a dark corner in Lackawanna and throw them in a dumpster and put some gas on them. What an abomination. I'll go on with it here. I am obviously not collected here at all. So there's the fumble, but the Bills get it right back. And then a horrible series. A penalty, 2 throws into coverage, and a punt. Patriots get the ball at the 20-yard line. They punted after 2 first downs. Bills get the ball back, 14 yards. Holding on Kincaid. And then the Coleman fumble, that was the first one. Then Patriots go 3 and out, they get a field goal. It's 3-0 Patriots. Bills get the kickoff, 34-yard line. Two TOs, I don't even know what that means. 2 first downs, I guess. All right, end of the first down. Bills drive, but they're held to a field goal, 3-3. Then the Pats fumble the kickoff. And I don't know who in the hell was it. Was it Solomon? Who was it that had it right by his feet and tries to go reach for it? Fall on the ball! Bills holding the 4th down. Offsetting holding calls. They punted. Bills ball, 10-yard line. Once again, this wonderful, shitty starting field position. Then McGovern, a hold. What did I do? Miss some? Yeah, that's already penalty number 6. Pats take over. At this point, I'm not even writing correctly. Bernard. Roughing penalty. Stupid. The Pats drive. Trey gets a DPI penalty. That's penalty number 8. I guess I'm missing some. Oh, yeah, penalty number 7 was the roughing on Bernard. Field goal 6-3. Ugly first half. God, like that. Bills receive. They have a clean drive, Samuel touchdown, 10-6. McDermott, I don't know. I don't know if he gave them hell during the halftime or what. I mean, the stuff he said there, but this is not on McDermott. This is Brady. Right back to the first thing of handing the ball to Dawson Knox. You know, if you put a mistake into a long math problem to start, you can execute the rest of the math problem absolutely correctly, but it's still going to be wrong. Pats took the kickoff after that. They get first downs. Benford, defensive holding penalty, number 9. Patriots march, 13-10 Patriots. Bills give the ball to Ray Davis. Oh, yeah, there's your answer. 1 yard. Then an offensive pass interference for penalty number 10. And then Josh decides to throw an interception. And then I couldn't help but laugh at the commercial right after that for a drug called Cobenfy. Sounds like a hockey player from Alberta. And it's an antipsychotic. I don't know if they were like advertising it to mass shooters. But in retrospect, obviously they were advertising it to Bills Mafia. Then what have I got here? Pat's ball, driving. Diggs eating. Drive with, I don't even know what I wrote here. It's 20-10 then. Bills had a tough drive, aided by consecutive unnecessary roughness penalties. You know, and you can only count on those so many weeks, can you? You can only count on roughing the kicker penalties so many weeks, or whatever roughing. Then Shaq gets a huge stop. The Bills get the ball on the 20. And I've got here White in big question marks. I don't know if I'm talking about the uniform or Tre'Davious. I stopped even taking notes then. Then at the end, of all the people we have, you got Daquan Jones that almost gets to Drake May falling down, and again, throws for a first down. I suppose the Bills had to suffer their first win here at some point. You know, going on undefeated is tough. Maybe they needed this. I often feel that there are energies beyond what we just see in the game that have something to do with it. And the Bills were off tonight. Maybe they were afraid because it was the first team they played that actually had something in the win column before they arrived on the field with the Bills. And I don't know if Buffalo ruined the Ravens or if the Ravens were just that bad. Something to have nightmares about, isn't it? Because the wins that we have right now look like squat. And the only thing decent that might have happened for Buffalo today is, of course, you had the Chargers sucking after being up 10-0 to the Commanders. You had Philadelphia just losing it. I don't know. Maybe there was something going around the league today. Take a look at a couple comments here. Damn Bills, you gave them the game on a silver platter, just as silver as the stupid logos on the sides of the helmets. Stupid fucking rivalry uniforms. Cook was less than this week. Yeah. You know, I actually have maybe Joe Brady doesn't want to get any head coaching opportunities. Maybe he's got to throw a game here or there. I just can't get over how poorly this looked. End of the first half. You know, you got your double dip chance. As they say in Ireland, they shite on it. Yeah, the corners, the Dennis here, we controlled the line of scrimmage. It was the corners. And, you know, it was true. There was a lot of pressure. The Buffalo had sacks. They needed to be a little closer on a couple of them. And yes, the corners were just letting Diggs eat all night, number 9 eat all night. Milano out in the third quarter with another pec injury. For whatever good he did. But, you know, you really, I mean, the defense held them to 23 points. And certainly you had the situation with a giveaway deep in our own end where they held them to a field goal. And, you know, other teams are going to score somewhat. The offensive performance, to me, other than Dalton Kincaid, who, of course, he contributed his penalty also, but Dalton Kincaid was so wide open so many times. I mean, are we concentrating too much on wanting to be diverse, wanting to make sure we get the run in there? What the hell is Ray Davis doing out there running the football? He hasn't done anything all season. He was terrible in the preseason. He lost the weight. He's not occupying the spot he needed to be, not being the bruiser, and now he's just ineffective. I'll put him on the practice squad. I'd bring in Frank Gore Jr. Illegal formations on both sides. Dick penalties, yeah. So to put in the term stepping on there in front of that. Because the Bills stepped on their dicks all night. Pardon my French for anybody who's watching that didn't want to hear that. Yeah, first game finished under 30 points this season. Exactly. And just could never get it together. Could never get into rhythm. Never played complementary football. And as much as we want to be pissed about how Drake May was able to get balls away when he looked like he was stopped, you got to put this in Buffalo's offense. 20 points. Totally ineffective. How much worse would the score have been had we thrown the ball to Dalton Kincaid on every single offensive play? My mind is just blown by this loss. Yeah, Diggs has always been a regular season warrior. Eating against soft defenses are his bread and butter. And yeah, I mean, Trey, you know, I mean, it wasn't bad, but Trey Davis White got beaten a couple of times on that one catch down near the goal line. Trey let him by, and Taylor Rapp was late. Let's look at the bright side. Taylor Rapp didn't injure any Buffalo Bills tonight. Just going to go through the comments here. Give it to Dalton route on a crossing route, and we're good. Exactly. I'm just going to blast through these guys. Our ends have to finish. Something happened to Bosa? I mean, he kind of disappeared this game. We'll probably hear about that. Landon Jackson was out there. I saw him get a run stop, but I don't know how much else. I mean, if this was intended to put a scare into the Bills, it ought to. Because you got to go next Monday night to Atlanta and get this to 5-1, and then have your bye. And of course, the Bills are going to be sluggish out of the bye. We know that. And then they'll go into Carolina. We saw what Carolina did today. They turned around and won that ball game. Yeah, the problem stopping the run, to an extent. I mean, there's not enough speed in the secondary, and yeah, we have to talk about the defense because there were so many occasions where drives just were extended. Bills couldn't get a turnover except for the one where they traded turnovers. Gibson drops the ball on that kickoff return. It's down by somebody's feet, reaching for it. Fall on the ball. I don't know if that was Javon Solomon. Yeah, Deion Walker's a game record, 96. He's going to be fine. And he was double-teamed a lot, exactly, because no Ed Oliver, no TJ Sanders. Got to get those guys back. I know that the defense too soft in the passing game. Run stops weren't bad. They did all right against the run, but there was no spark from the defense. And the Bills obviously need something like that. I don't know what it is. They, like Colin Cowherd said it really well the other week. You know, the Bills appear to be playing with their food. He called them bored last week for a while against the Saints. Saints came back and won today. Playing the Giants. They beat the hell out of them, actually. But this is really sloppy, and I thought that maybe the Bills got the punch in the mouth over the course of the first half. I guess it wasn't enough. They didn't split their lip hard enough. They didn't get the spark. And I really cannot put this on the defense completely because so many of the penalties were on offense. I do not have a breakdown. If anybody does, go ahead and throw it up there. But most of the penalties were on the offensive side of the ball. Dumb penalties, holding penalties, some pre-snap stuff, offensive pass interference, just slovenly. You know, they make a big deal out of having to put on these daffy-ass uniforms, rivalries uniforms. Put them in the dumpster. Gas them and burn them. It's going to start going through him. Dennis or Denise, whatever it may be. Looks like it might be perhaps French. Sloppy all over, absolutely. Safeties are all right. Corner is the issue. Yeah, we need the rookie to heal. They need some speed out there. They need some recovery speed. Defense never holds the lead for Josh. I'll tell you, well, I don't even want to look again. I think it was like 8 penalties in the first half. It was ridiculous. Thanks for your comment, Carlos. Guys, if you're in the chat here, if you're watching tonight, let me know where you're coming in from. I'm here to let everybody vent. You've listened to me vent for the first part of this thing. Again, I'm wearing the black shirt, not a Bills shirt. This will be my new tradition for a loss. Fume drummer in the house. Plus side, special teams did well. The new punter holder was not a problem. Yeah. Was that Mitch Wiskowski? Yeah, that was fine. Where was Cook tonight? He was looking at Dawson Knox fumble the freaking ball after bumping into Josh Allen. I still can't get over that play. That got things going wrong right from that point. Bills got to stop after the kickoff. Got the first down, and let's run a trick play. Have we ever done that? Let me see what your comment was, Dennis. Sorry, I don't know what that one was. I'm not following with your comments good enough here. I'm frazzled. Same penalties. Carlos, absolutely. Raul Havana in the house. Trade Josh for Shador. Josh Palmer, I assume you mean. Josh Palmer had 1 catch tonight. And, that brings up the point that everybody eats 2.0 is fine. But if somebody gets hot, get in the ball. Again, how different would the result have really been if you kept on throwing to Dalton Kincaid until they stopped it? I'm sure those uniforms will end up in a dark, smoky dumpster fire somewhere in a corner of Lackawanna, probably nearby Military Road. McDermott is just too soft. I don't put this on McDermott at all. The offense lost this football game. Defense was enough. Defense held them to 23, and that included some bad field position starts. I mean, Josh throwing the interception down deep in their end. And the pressure. Best offensive line in the league? I don't know. I don't know. 585 Rochester, Dennis. All right, thanks, man. Born and raised in the 716 and now in Central Florida. I spent 17 years in South Florida. In fact, we went, and this was during the Super Bowl years, to every year when the Bills were down there playing the Dolphins, who, by the way, today, if you want to have a laugh, we're up 17-0, and that's who the Panthers came back and beat. Thank you for the show with Arthur. I'm sure he's not too pleased tonight. His Steelers are off. I haven't even looked at what he put out there tonight. I'll be very interested to see. He won't be as nasty and pissed as me. He's far cooler. He'll just say it like it is. Next week in Atlanta, throwback uniforms to be worn with the standing Buffalo. I did not know that. Well, that's good to hear. Buffalo plays well in those. These daffy goddamn things they had on tonight. Why? NFL has to keep on trying to make itself cuter and cuter and cuter. Just play the freaking games. And try to keep them on the continent, too. Not that I have anything against fans that are in Dublin or London or Madrid or Sao Paulo or Berlin or anywhere else. Keep the games on the continent. Yeah, the whole crowd was wearing this whiteout stuff. And I thought we only had fans having to look like a bunch of dipshits waving towels. It's not Bills Mafia. Cook with only 49 yards tonight. And yeah, they had a little trouble getting him going. But you keep it going. You let your offensive line get into rhythm and start getting some push on people. It was never a rhythm. Because Brady tripped over himself. I can't get by that handoff to Dawson Knox. Mr. Stonehands himself. Doink. In an earlier game, if you recall. So we've got Dawson Knox running a jet sweep. Are you shitting me? Yeah, Kincaid was great. Just keep on throwing the ball. This is the one thing, if you got a hot hand, start throwing to him, not these daffy-ass trick plays and so forth. Khalil Shakir, too. Looked good. I put a lot of this on Brady. They did not give Josh enough layups. He ended up getting the shit beat out of him tonight, too. Yeah, the whole whiteout thing in Tuesday. That's the kind of crap they do in Detroit. I live around here. Let's pass out signs to everybody or pass out towels to everybody. Towels belong to the Steelers, the terrible towels. It's been a tradition established for years. Catching up with some of the comments. Yeah, for real, anyone's watched those London games. I watched this morning. I catch them. Considering doing a pregame, I didn't feel good about this game going into it. And you heard Trey White make a remark about these uniforms when he was asked. They were in the AdPro Training Center. You could tell that was the background. They're asking him what he thought about the uniforms, and well, nobody was excited about the uniforms. It's like trying to change the whole identity of the team and changing the identity of the crowd, waving the towels. Yeah, I can deal with a loss. I feel bad for the fans who spent boatloads of money, the whiteout silliness, and was disappointed in the end. Because when are the Bills going to wear those again? Never. And so what are you gonna do with that after you paid what, 100, 150, 200 bucks for that crap? Now it just reminds you, maybe you could tape it off and spray paint it fucking blue. Pardon my French. It really didn't feel like Bills Mafia was that crazy. Yeah, I think there was just a feeling in the whole thing. Fume drummer. European games are bullshit. The Vikings got 2 in a row. The Canadian Bills homes game. Well, the Rodgers series. That was idiocy. Definitely the low point of the drought. Which reminds me, one of the biggest heartbreak games there was against the Atlanta Falcons, if you remember. Yeah, Knox underperforming on the contract, and they talk about him. You know, he's. You know, was there a single throw to Hawsey tonight? A single throw to Jackson Hawes? You think Hawes would have dropped that jet sweep ball from Josh? Yeah, Coleman's all right. But you know what you got to do with Coleman on the first play from scrimmage, the first time the Bills have the ball, throw it to him so he can get his drop out of the way. Then he can start playing. But don't wait to throw to him when you need it for the first one, because he will drop it. And Josh was off tonight. And he may have been off, again, because of how this thing got started. It got started on the wrong foot. There was never any rhythm. And this felt oddly like a loss or two, maybe, to the Mac Jones Patriots. And Drake May outplayed Josh tonight. I've watched the pressers yet. I want to come on and while I was hot, while you guys were hot, can watch all that crap later. Yeah, helmets are okay. I mean, you couldn't even tell the logo on them, actually, though. And again, my problem with the uniforms is that, you know, you're just used to seeing a certain thing out there. And when you change the view of the players, there has to be built-in muscle mind memory sorts of things that get screwed up when you change those. Ooh, ouch. I won't repeat it. Rivalries uniforms. Whose idea even was that? Why? Why do we need rivalry uniforms? Why do we need to keep on trying to make it better? It's already great. Stop trying to improve on it. Yeah, the PR crew gets the L for real. Yeah, that's for damn sure. I got you on that, Dennis. Woke's joke is in. I love your passion. We all feel the pain. Perhaps it's just what this team needed. A wake-up call. Well, I don't disagree with that. Because the bothersome thing was, and I've talked about this in earlier shows, where when we start off at the beginning of the season, every team is judged by reputation and expectation because there's no record established yet. And the Bills get down 15 and come back on Baltimore and, oh, we're great. We scored all those points in that short of time, even though the ESPN idiot thought it didn't happen since 2017, when, of course, it just happened 2 weeks before when he was talking about first team to come back from that much with under 4 minutes left, or 4 minutes left. National broadcasters. Speaking of which, I can't wait to hear Nick Wright going on tomorrow. Bills, champions of September. Dennis is in. So what do you think? So do you think out of Josh, Coach, or Brady is taking the loss? Well, they'll all admit to it, for sure, and nobody will throw anybody under the bus. But Brady's got to stop being so cute. Stop being so cute. I keep on going back to it, but the jet sweep to Dawson Knox. Dawson Knox! Ugh. Bam, right into Josh. Ball goes on the ground. And, that just threw it off from there. And I mean, you guys start not trusting the offensive coordinator when he calls that. I explained last week what point spreads are about. They're not a prediction of what the final score is going to be. A point spread is entirely set by the bookies, by Las Vegas, such that equal amounts of money are bet on both sides. Because when that happens, the bookies win. When you get equal amounts of money on both sides. The Bills apparently think that, we're supposed to win by 11.5. Maybe we think we're Secretariat and we like to let our opponent get out in front of us to see if we can catch up. Well, you found out tonight. FAFO? Wonder what that means. But I put this on Joe Brady. That's where I put this loss. I think it was a horrifying job of coaching. You didn't let the offensive line tee off. Milton Williams, defensive tackle for the Patriots, was hurt this week. Did you pick on him? No. Yeah, and Hawes, he had him out there a couple times blocking. But, and you could talk all you want. People could talk all they want about how great Dawson Knox is in his inline blocking. But if that's all he does, give me Alec Anderson out there instead. And then put Hawes and Kincaid on the field. Getting too cute and not taking advantage of the weapons that you have. Because you got it in your mind that, Pete Prisco has got you number 2 in the rankings, in the power rankings on CBS Sports. And thinking too much about the fact that, he put 30 points up every single game. Instead of thinking about the fact that none of those teams had a win. Not a single team the Buffalo Bills have met until tonight had a win. Now they're just one game up on the Patriots. Rivalry jerseys will be worn once each of the next 3 seasons. Well, hopefully the Bills can win a Super Bowl, so the next time around we won't give a shit. New England corners are better than the Bills corners. Simple as that, 7-on-7. Well, of course, what the guy that got hurt was a free agent that they brought in, and Christian Gonzalez, who has been hurt, is a good corner. And everybody was worried about Max Hairston being fragile. Didn't even make it to the regular season. He didn't even make it into the preseason. Good Love a King in here. The offense had a Ken Dorsey vibe tonight. I feel that. I feel that. Yeah, Haas is tough. I mean, you know, you what you wanted to set up and do tonight is just run 13 personnel all night. But don't let Knox touch the ball of one of those three tight ends. And start bashing the crap out of people until Cook gets some yards. You keep Ray Davis off the field. And then once they start crashing in on Cook, you start throwing to the tight ends. Sometimes Brady, I mean, I like him, but sometimes I see him in these pressers and he comes off as like smarmy almost sometimes. Like cute, like too cool for school. Dude, don't overcomplicate it. This crap is simple. You've got a great offensive line, a great running back, a great quarterback, three tough tight ends that can all block anyway, and a couple that can catch. Don't let the other one put his hands on the ball again this season, and that's Knox. I guess he managed one catch later. You've got to get that offense in rhythm. When you take them out of rhythm by doing stupid crap like that jet sweep to Knox, like not running the ball enough, like the pressures that the Patriots got on Josh. I mean, the band never gets warmed up. Ugly uniforms, ugly game. Vito, you're right. Screw things up like that, the bad uniforms, and what would Don Vito said? This is the business we have chosen. Dorian's in the house. I'm almost glad the loss is out of the way. But this team has serious issues they need to get fixed. They need to be in rhythm. You've got the MVP at quarterback. You've got one of the best offensive lines in the league. You've got a great running back. You've got some solid receivers. Act like it. Stop being cute. What did I say a couple of weeks ago when they were hosting Miami? Be careful. There is nothing more dangerous than a division road dog. Especially when they could come in tonight and just tinkle all over those white uniforms and yellow them up, which they did. Vito, it's the NFL. You don't want to clinch the division with only 7 games. You know, and I agree with that. And I'm not sure if, you know, trying to put it together when you string together these 4 previous games. And I asked Arthur Motes this the other night. What did that win over the Ravens in game 1? What did that actually do for the Bills? And I think it did a lot for them to start. But the problem is that win looked great over the Ravens based on the reputation and expectation that existed for the Ravens coming in. And when the Bills beat them like that, 41-40, it makes the Bills look amazing because, here's the Ravens had it by 15 points and the Bills actually came back. But ever since then, the Ravens have looked like a crusty dog turd with a creamy center. And what does that first game really say about the Bills and the Ravens? One could posit the possibility that the Bills ruined the Ravens in that first game. But now you could just as easily posit the possibility the Ravens just weren't that good. And then the Bills went up to rack up 3 more wins over more winless teams. I mean, you want to start talking about comparing notes and numbers? Well, the Saints beat the Giants at home, and the Saints came back in that one. And the Bills are just above the Saints a little bit. Now the Saints are above the Giants a little bit. So how close does that make the Bills and the Giants? That's the kind of math your brain could get into. Broadcast note, there was way too much screen time for the announcers. No one needs to see them. At one point, I forget precisely what it was, but Collinsworth made, that's right. Yeah, Collinsworth is saying, Terrell Bernard was great. He replaced Matt Milano. Really, Chris? Milano's a will linebacker. He's never been the Mike. That's why Dorian Williams could come in for Milano. Dorian wasn't hurt. Shaq Thompson came in, I guess, later for Milano, but Shaq could play both spots. But get your info right. Frankly, guys, like I've told you before, if you have YouTube TV, which I do, and a good internet signal, and if you can get you do your audio settings to be getting the surround sound, if you get surround sound, but you're not set up for it, i.e., you don't have the center speaker that a surround system needs, the announcers drop out. I could never get it to work tonight. So I finally just turned them off. I cannot listen to Tirico and Collinsworth. I just can't do it. I listen to the game without sound. I'm calling the game. Most of you know I want to call the games on the radio for the Bills one day. Can't wait to hear how Chris Brown sounded tonight. But as far as listening to them, I'm just over it. I cannot stand Chris Collinsworth. I don't like the mistakes. I don't like his voice. He's already tried to talk like this all the time. Give me a break. No, we got somebody else. From the Jets. Hey, welcome, Jetpacks this week. Y'all cried about one loss. We were 0-5. Cry me a fucking MF river. Oh, my God, we're not going undefeated the whole season. What a joke. Thanks for making me laugh, man. Yeah, you're right. You guys got troubles. But Aaron Glenn's got Tony Dungy calling him, telling him, here's Tony Dungy. Well, back 40 years ago, I lost my first few games as a starting head coach. Get Dungy off of Sunday Night Football. Dungy is a Bills hater. Rodney Harrison is a Bills hater. And Collinsworth Kid, Collingsworth kid, whatever his name is. I mean, they need to take a few of the guys off of Thursday Night Football, put some of these jokers on Thursday Night Football, because that's another rant I have about Thursday Night Football. I even tried to get a hold of Amazon on this. What the hell is it with Amazon that anytime you try to pause and move ahead, you get a 1950s screen that's all pixelated? Don't they have the most powerful servers and network in the country? You've only got one game a week to do. I sit and watch every single game on Sundays. If the Bills aren't playing at 1 o'clock, I'm in front of the workstations here, the two 27-inch screens. You open up YouTube TV with a Sunday ticket. I open 6 windows for each of the games. I start with the first game after they start, fast forwarding, play to play to play, till you caught up on that one. You move to the next one. I watched all 6 of those games by 5:30 and then started picking up the later games. And there's never a time where it's all pixelated where you can't see it. Amazon, get yourself a gallon jug of kaopectate, pop the top and drink it, and get your shit together. Other teams get way up when they play the Bills. Yeah, well, there was all this hype going around. Heard Joe Marino on Lockdown Bills going, "Oh, what's all this hype for the Patriots?" Well, somebody spoke it into existence because Drake May outplayed Josh Allen tonight. Josh McDaniel, or McDaniels, I believe it is. There's only one McDaniel in the division. But Josh McDaniels outcoached Joe Brady. And in terms of head coaching, hey, Vrabel outcoached McDermott. I'll give it that. The Buffalo was not right tonight. Maybe they needed to be punched. Maybe they, but it's like you got not only punched, but you got kicked in the stones because you could spiral off and start questioning a lot of stuff tonight. A lot of stuff. Wins coming against teams that hadn't won a thing all season until you get to one tonight that's 2-2 and you're 4-0, and now they're one game behind. A win is a win sounds nice, but it's just a mediocre mentality, in my opinion. I can't stand it. They do differ, and everybody talks about just getting the dub until you don't get the dub. Dennis back in. I wish I was out there interviewing the fans after the game. I think they would say the same thing you are. Only thing is they probably had less voice because I was accused a number of times this evening, and rightly so, of scaring the bejesus out of my dogs. One was hiding in the closet. The big Doberman Greyhound mix was on the couch like this. My wife's comforting the dog. And then we've got a little King Charles Cavalier. But the little guy doesn't hear very well, so he didn't care. He was just walking around having fun. People get mad when I say this, but we should have drafted Worthy instead of Coleman, and Worthy shows each week why we should have. Tydrick in there with, you got to say it. I mean, we still, I thought we had some speed in Elijah Moore, but the Buffalo just does not throw downfield. I mean, there was one, intermediate throw down to Coleman on that big down where it went to fourth. And Coleman's like, well, you got to go up and go after that ball. That's what you're there for, because you're sure as hell not outrunning people. I mean, thank God Mahomes hasn't been throwing downfield worth of crap. I mean, he's had a lot of downfield misses. And now we can only hope that this tough Jags defense turns around tomorrow night and bitch slaps the Chiefs. And then the Chiefs got to go to Detroit after that. Knox is also slow. Where is he going? 2 yards to the max. Every play should be designed for a touchdown. Not that Knox is good for two. Yeah, I mean, I still don't understand the logic of a jet sweep to Dawson Knox. I don't know what you were trying to accomplish. It was this cute thing. Unbelievable. Terry Jordan's in the house. Can't stop the run. That's what beat him. Nah, offensive coaching is what beat him. They did fine stopping the run tonight. And they got pressure. They got like three sacks. And some others that are close. The problem is the secondary can't keep up. They can't cover for long enough. And then Drake May is just like, throwing the ball as he's going down. Oh, let me toss it with my fingers. Oh, let me headbutt the ball. Somebody's going to catch it. And they always did. I saw Cole Bishop made one good hit and a follow-up play coming out of close to the boundary. Where's Taylor Rapp punishing some of these receivers? If you're going to let him catch it, break a couple of ribs. Oh my God, you're not going undefeated. How will any of you survive? Yeah. Probably in a lifeboat made out of wrecked jet parts. Yeah, the whole week all players were praising Haas. They knew it, but Joe is they knew it, but Joe, I don't even know. Yeah, and exactly, this stuff of Haas trying to be cute. And you don't get in rhythm when you're cute. It doesn't need to be pretty. Just go out and pound. And get Josh some layups. And start throwing to the hot guy. I mean, I want to see the film on how often Dalton Kincaid was wide open. Because when he was hitting him, he was wide open. That were the Chiefs and Travis Kelce Swift. What he hit a 13, 14 targets in the game? Bill Justice pissed. They look stupid, actually. Not sure if you're talking about the offensive coaching staff or the uniforms or what, or all of the above. Yeah. Yeah, Trey White. And, it might be hindsight, but, you heard about the fragility. It's making me think of a Christmas story. Fragile. You heard about the fragility of Max Hairston. He hasn't even seen his first NFL snap. We're through 5 games. He hasn't even been activated back for practice yet. I don't know. Maybe he has. I've seen him out there some, but I don't know. Maybe the case it is, and they've got, 21 days to activate him after he starts practicing. You better get him on the field because you better figure out if that's going to work, or you better start looking for some corners. Rasul Douglas got an interception today. Yeah, if you're talking about Max Hairston, yeah, there was some injuries, there was some shoulder stuff that was going on. He's ultra fast, but and that wasn't even a contact injury. That was in practice. I mean, dude, this is the NFL. You better learn how to land correctly and not hurt yourself. Traded away a first-round pick last year. Coleman's not a first-rounder. He was the first selection in the second round. And our first-round pick this year has not seen a blade of grass yet when it mattered. Yeah, the comeback win against the Ravens means very little after tonight's loss, and especially less the way the Ravens are playing. At least Colin Cowherd could stop teabagging Jim Harbaugh like he did for the first part of the season. Oh, he's great everywhere he goes. Justin Herbert's so good. Justin Herbert is a joke. You've heard me say it on this show before. At least Denver showed something and beat the Eagles today. So perhaps there's some challenge to the Chiefs. Yeah, for real. Allen needs freedom like Peyton had. Because other than really Dalton Kincaid, everybody eats turned into everybody spits up on themselves tonight. I can't think of a better reason. Maybe Brady called the suite to help justify Knox's big salary. Yeah, first and second down are crucial, and it was terrible with the penalties and the discipline. I just don't know what Buffalo thought they were coming into this tonight. I didn't have a good feeling all day today about this. I haven't felt good about it all week. I didn't feel good about the uniforms. We'll have to see what was said. Well, I mean, as far as making moves, you got to get the secondary playing tighter. I mean, you just can't allow these balls to be caught. And the problem is that a lot of those occurred when Drake May is under pressure. He's rolling out. Buffalo almost gets to him. And like I said, all he had to do was flick the ball or maybe headbutt it. Or throw it up and tap it like it's a volleyball. Because they were all getting caught. And, of course, the regular season champion, Diggs. Yeah, he's great for young quarterbacks and on teams where he hasn't pissed everybody off yet. Then he turns into this pouty thing, and then, Diggs can complain all he wants, but our biggest chance in a playoff against the Chiefs was when he had the ball right there, dropped. I don't want to dog any early morning AM local sports channel, but you know more about football than the host. Well, thank you so much. I wish I didn't know so much about this one tonight, but yeah, I don't like to name names, but the morning show on the flagship station of the Buffalo Bills was bad enough when Howard Simon, but he retired. But now, you know the guy. It's the guy that Brandon Beane bitch slapped the Monday after the draft this year. He'll probably be crowing, if the Bills had some decent receivers. Well, they do have some decent receivers. I don't know. It's like if you've lost something in the house and you can't find it, and then you start just searching the same places over and over again. You know how it is. And that's kind of the thing with me. I mean, is Joe Brady trying to make sure he stays at Buffalo and doesn't get a head coaching offer? Because I think his coconuts were swinging kind of low after these first 4 games. He ended up tripping over him like a football is simple. Fancy coordinators try to make it complex. Yeah, you want to, justify your job, I know it's a different game now than it was, but, back when Vince Lombardi was coaching, and he put on a off-season coaching clinic, and one John Madden, who was this up-and-coming coach, went to it, and he's like, "No, I'm really good. I'm a slick coach." I mean, he went to it. He sat in the back. Afterwards, he realized what a fool he was, because Vince Lombardi talked about the Lombardi sweep for 8 hours. One play, because it was perfected. And I talked about last week, the Bills don't want to empty their trick bag out, on the center field logo and show everybody everything. Kind of seemed like they did a little bit tonight, and I'm glad they got it out of their system. Perhaps just as important is trying to determine what plays to run. How about determining what plays not to run? Yeah, it's how we lost. I mean, certain games are won and certain games are lost. I don't believe the Patriots won that game so much tonight as the Bills lost it. It was 10 or 11 or maybe a dozen accepted penalties. It was 2 turnovers. And there were opportunities for the Bills to get more. They got one back when they traded turnovers from play to play, but other than that, just can't do it. Yeah, Amazon Prime blows. And if there's anybody I dislike more than Chris Collinsworth, it's Herb Kirkstreet. Dude, get back to College Game Day. and leave your simple ass analysis there. Ugh. You know, it used to be that every football game was on television, and now we have to pay for a lot of them. I pay for them all. If you have the Sunday ticket, I don't live in town. If I was, I'd be probably hanging statues of Brady and effigy from the light poles on Abbott Road. But for all we pay to watch football games, we ought to have a choice of not having to listen to the announcers. They're giving us the choice on what college games to do all the end zone camera views. It's kind of cool, I guess, sometimes if you're into it. Give us the choice of losing the announcers. See, what the NFL hasn't figured out is that they've made it so available and so accessible to everyone with so much information. We're not stupid anymore. We don't need Chris Collinsworth drawing something in the screen when I wasn't listening to them tonight, and I'm seeing, oh, he's drawing this and that and this, some, triangle with end zone camera, looking at the Bills going forward. I'm like, what was that about? What players did you see do anything like that? Let's look at some more of your stuff here. I was saying this is the Patriots Super Bowl. Well, certainly, having won the division 5 straight years, they're going to be a target. But if I'm some teams, I'm not as afraid of the Bills now as I might have been. Other than from the standpoint that this should have shaken some stuff up. No, they didn't get blown out. And I'm sorry if they got tired of, scoring 30-plus points and winning by big margins, and tired of having Josh, go get to sit on the bench for the fourth quarter because they're so far ahead. Get your shit together, guys. Get it together. Bills had no plan tonight. It didn't look like it. Again, that jet sweep to Knox, it had started fine. Bills kick off. Patriots get the ball. You get some pressure. You got them off the field. Josh comes out. Couple of great throws. First down. Jet sweep to Dawson Knox. How many times does the Bills have to try to get cute and end up getting sodomized over it before they figure out that it's not going to work? Well, we say defensively anyone outcoaches McDermott. McDermott is not the defensive coach. Now, Bobby Babich is. But what I will say, especially with Ryan Nielsen being in there as the senior defensive assistant, it just doesn't feel like, I don't know, I question Babich a little bit. But on the other hand, again, the Bills holding them to 23 points with giving the offense giving them as many opportunities as the Patriots got, and the Bills still holding them to 23 points. You got the MVP, dude. You've got to be able to score, 25, 30 points. And they were there to be had. It's just that Buffalo shot themselves in the foot so many times they were like club-footed at the end of the game. Vito, my little bro is Vito. He is in prison. I was watching the whole game. I talked to him, and he was watching the game. I'm glad to see you were talking with him, man. Sorry he's in there. That sucks. And thanks for sharing with us, because that's perspective. That's that's real life. This is a loss, and we're all pissed about it, but. You have to credit Drake May. His sideline throws were the difference in the game. That's for damn sure. And though Buffalo got pressure, I mean, you need to get some speed with that pressure. Landon Jackson was out there tonight. I don't know how long he actually played for. But I mean, he hasn't been ready to get a jersey until tonight, so, I mean, what are we saying? Get caught up with these guys, because you've got a lot of comments here. That was the worst game I've witnessed as a fan of the Bills. Well, wasn't good, but it wasn't the worst. But the fact that you bring that up, I do have to mention, because I've dated myself many times. That didn't come out right. I've revealed my age many times on this show in one way or another. And, you know, one great example is, actually, the first game I ever went to down in Miami, the stadium formerly called Joe Robbie, was in 1989. The Bills were down, late fourth quarter. We're about 20-yard line, I guess. Bills are driving from our right to left, and gets down to fourth down from about the 2-yard line, and Jim Kelly takes it and dives in for the score. Huge win. I think that was that had to be 88, I think. And then I think it was 89 or 90, one of the two. It might have been 89, which would have been the first Super Bowl year, which would have been the Super Bowl would have ended up being in 1990. The Bills had, I think, pounded the Colts. Of course, the Colts used to be in the AFC East when there was 5 teams per division, and it pounded the Colts in game 1 and came down to play the Dolphins. We were there at Hard Rock Stadium, called Joe Robbie Stadium back at that time. And this is the Bills, first Super Bowl year. And they got trounced, 30-10. Dolphins walked all over them. So it happens, and I'm hoping the lessons can be learned from this game, because McDermott said it going into halftime. He said it twice. We're not getting into a rhythm. And the reason they weren't getting into a rhythm is because you keep on changing the set list. If you're a band guy like me or like Fume Drummer, he knows. You keep on changing that stuff up. There was no rhythm. They never got going. And there was too many things wrong with it. It's like when you talk about a plane crash. I used to be in the aviation business. Plane crashes are never for one reason. It's always a multiple number of reasons. And it's called the Swiss cheese model, where you've got all these slices of Swiss cheese and the holes end up lining up. And that's what you had tonight. I don't think the team was enthused about the uniforms. I think it's freaking ridiculous. It was another Sunday night game, big excitement and so forth, but once again, they're big favorites, and I mean, you could almost feel it was a trap coming for them, because Patriots are not a bad team. They're obviously the second best team in the division. And no, I don't think they'll challenge for the division. And yes, I think the Bills will get over this and be okay and so forth. But we're looking at just this game tonight and not the entire season. And this game was there for the winning. When you hold your opponent to 20 or less, and I know it was 23, but it doesn't get there if you don't turn the ball over a couple of times. It's game script. I don't know who Terry is and what he's smoking unless you're talking about Terry Pagula. Hopefully some good stuff tonight. Andrew Stevens in the house. It's the first good team we played this year. Hopefully we learn from it. Yeah, it's the first team that actually had a win that we played tonight. It's almost like there could be the mindset of, oh, after 4 games, we're so good, we beat 4 NFL teams. And then you look back, well, not a single one of them had a win. And the other week, the Atlanta Falcons pooped their pants, but they came back pretty well last week. They got Bijan Robinson. Michael Penix is not bad. Yes, he had a bad time, like I said, the week before, but you're going down there on a Monday night. You got some extra rest. You better get some guys back on the field. You obviously need Ed Oliver. And TJ Sanders would help. And Milano, I don't know, I mean, it sounds like he's, might sound like I sound after going out lugging firewood all day or something. I'm hurting. And get off the field. I didn't feel his impact at all tonight. Joshua Mars in the house. Drake May was crazy good tonight. Was kind of shocked and surprised that it happened to our defense. This defense, I believe, is still developing, and I think there's some good things with it. But, it's not good enough to win a 13-10 game. The offense needs to perform. The offense needs to be able to go out and get in rhythm and do its stuff and get up a couple of scores. And you can't be cute with it. Yeah, Milano. Midlow Viking. Yeah. I think it's time for Milano to retire. I love the guy, but the dude just can't stay on the field. Hey, there was a time, but Shaq Thompson is playing better than he is at this point. That first drive showed we controlled the line of scrimmage, and they just took the corner apart. Yeah. Well, you needed to. The pass rush has to work better, but obviously, there was some good pass rush tonight. But guys are just not keeping up, and we do not really have speed in our secondary. Benford's not that fast. Benford's good at anticipating. And Trey is, got eaten alive out there tonight. Bill's always too predictable. That must be a misprint, Vito. What you actually meant is they're not predictable enough, because you can't be trying to pull the cute crap you were pulling tonight. They need to be able to run. They need to be able to get Josh some layups. You've got to do better on first and second down and not be looking at these long third downs. Joshua Mars, 22. I thought our defense was better than this. Well, the defense has got some work to do, and I think the defensive line is actually that wasn't bad tonight. They were stopping the run all right. They were getting some pressure. There was even some interior pressure that was forcing them outside. But we've got compression ends that obviously just didn't have the speed to get out there. I mean, where the hell were they? Why was Daquan Jones? Why was it Daquan Jones that was chasing Drake May to the sideline when he threw that sideline ball that got caught with the knee down, just in bounds? I don't know who's on that end, Groot or if it was Bosa or whoever the hell was out there, but why is Daquan Jones getting there? And I realize you want to get guys healed and so forth, but, I don't care, Ed, if it was a horse that kicked you or you got stepped on in practice or you turned your ankle walking off the curb. Got to be available, man. Got to be available. And they better next week because they need to win this game down there in Atlanta. Then take their week off. Then they could come out sluggish for the first quarter and a half like they always do after a bye, and then come back and beat the Panthers and get to 6-1. Because by that time, the Chiefs, who knows where they'll be. They've already got Xavier Worthy back. And now the felon is coming back after 6 games being suspended, the same number as our two. And boy, do we need them. Ogunjobi and Hoyt. You just need another big experienced presence in the middle, which Ogunjobi will give you. He wasn't anything spectacular in the preseason. What the hell did you expect? He's a pro. I think he'll be great when you have him in the rotation along with Deion Walker and Ed Oliver and Daquan, as long as it's not Daquan trying to chase the quarterback to the sideline. Sorry, I just got a pain going through my head when I said that. And then Michael Hoyt. Michael Hoyt's a beast. And that is going to make a difference. I guarantee that is going to make a difference. But I mean, are we making too much of this tonight? Maybe. Is it my job to make too much of it? Probably. But, you got the loss, you got the punch in the mouth. Now maybe you could come out with some urgency to start a game and get some stuff done. Because they've been slow starts. It wasn't bad against the Jets. Dolphins, wasn't an easy game. Not at all. Versus the Saints got within 3. Colin Cowherd, like I said, tried to laugh it off, like, the Bills looked bored and they were playing with their food. Yeah, well, tonight they ate their food and they spit up all over themselves. It's not like Dre lit it up, but most of his throws were like checkdowns. Yeah, some. He caught some guys downfield too, but we just got to have guys closer. I mean, when you've got the pass rush putting enough pressure to get him off the spot as many times as you did, you got to learn how to finish on the pass rush and learn how to stick with it on the coverage side and not get outrun. he actually played better than other games this year? Yeah. May destroyed him with those sideliners. Give him credit. I do, but it's the Bills' offense that put him in position to do that a number of times. With lousy drive starts. Once again, Bills got in the pattern of, starting from their own 10. Started from the 17 twice in a row. And then holding calls twice in a row, ending up at 1st and 17 after starting from the 17. Yeah, when Bean decided to dump the punt god, he told media the culture was more important than winning football games. That explains everything. Well, I don't know if it's about the culture so much, but they didn't believe the kid, and they were covering their ass. And as it turned out, they should have stood by him. But what hurts even more is like that once again, somebody you could have had, like Xavier Worthy, winds up on the fucking Chiefs. I'll let you guys read this. I don't actually want to repeat it. I'll just say I hope the hell not. We're going to start blowing through these. I'm so far behind because I'm yakking and then missing what you guys are saying here. Herbert is ass. Yeah, absolutely. And so are the Harbaugh brothers. Don't draft a cornerback in the first round. Poof. Going through every comment. We lost to the Patriots? Yeah. Didn't expect this to happen to us. Not at all. Diggs is such a diva. Yeah, he is. And they just let him have his way tonight. I mean, Christ, a lot of these guys played with him for years. You'd think they would have, known it or seen it coming. True, Diggs is inconsistent, to be honest. Yeah, he's a regular season hero. Somebody said it earlier. Yeah, I bet he did. I don't even want to repeat that one. Bill should be called Buffalo Behinds. One step all the time, or Buffalo almost. Almost won the Super Bowl. Almost beat the Chiefs. Almost got to May. There's a song there someplace, by the way. Every comment gets up. Almost is a good word for the team. Almost drafted a good cornerback in the first round. Fume drummers in. To me, the Bills have all the tools to be a dominant team. The wins this year are by a hair. This is a waste of talent. If you can't win a Super Bowl with Allen, you're doing it wrong. Yeah, Joe Brady. I mean, I'm still all over Joe Brady for this. If I have to pin it anywhere, I'm pinning it on Joe Brady. I don't know what the Bills can do to get this right. I don't know. Well, it's a loss. It's the NFL. Losses happen. They got punched in the teeth. A few of them are loose. They got an extra day so they could get to the dentist, get stuff straightened out. They'll be okay. I'm sure it's going to be ugly there, though, in practice this week. I don't think some of us understand what McDermott can be like, because it's something we never see. Just got that one. See, I'm even messed up now. Tell MCD that, Fume Drummer. T.Y. Younghouse, there is nothing about the Bills' D that is dominant. Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, so far, this season, what have we seen for dominant defenses? Well, Denver has had a couple of bad losses, but they took care of Eagles today. And Jacksonville's defense looking scary. I don't know how good I'll say Washington's defense is because I think the Chargers are a joke. So this is how far behind our comments are. Facts. Kirk is a bum. We are essentially the Carolina Panthers coaching retreads and good old boy network. They got it right with Josh, but otherwise it's not quite working yet. I don't want to waste a lot of breath trying to argue that because I'd waste a lot of breath trying to argue that. Bills lost it. Combined with May was good. Clutch tonight. He was. My God, dude, the announcers talk way too much. I fortunately missed some of that. And, another thing, I know they got the sideline reporters, and I know these women, they get the hot women. Now, listen, let me put them down. They're professionals. They worked hard at their business. They're out there for a reason. They worked hard to get their position. But learn how to cut off an interview. I don't need to hear Mike Vrabel talking through a play and into the next play because we're not quite done talking to him yet. This is like reason number 375, part A, that I very seldom listen to announcers on football games. I can see what's happening, and I'm pretty good at reading lips. That would be of the officials when they're calling penalties. And, of course, I got a lot of practice tonight. Collinsworth gets on my nerves the last 5 years. I mean, even Joe Marino, who wouldn't say a bad thing about anybody, can't stand Collinsworth. Yeah, I wanted Collinsworth gone the moment Al Michael left him. And, if Al Michaels couldn't be any worse now with freaking Herb Street and, Al Michaels, I mean, I know he called the miracle. And I know he called the Bills' first Super Bowl loss, which I'll never forgive him for. But he's become a crotchety, nasty old man now with some of the comments he makes. Most annoying ESPN announcer in all of the NFL, Chris Collinsworth, for sure. What discipline? McDermott stresses it since his beginning, but where was it tonight? It wasn't. It wasn't. That team got rattled. It got rattled early on. It started leading to all the penalties, all the mistakes, and so forth and so on. And again, for the 80th time tonight, I'll say it. Joe Brady, trying to be cute. Let's run a jet sweep to Dawson Knox. It bears repeating. A lot of you are here now that weren't here earlier. When have we ever handed the ball off to Dawson freaking Knox? Stone Paws himself, who had a ball bounce right off his gloves. Then he runs into Allen on that jet sweep. They collide like they're a couple of drunken rugby players after the match. Doink, there goes the ball. And that's just like, we've all done it. You've been running and catch one foot, and you're like going along on one foot. And, you might keep along on one foot for a while, but you're going to face plant at some point. And that's what happened tonight. Screwing around with this offense. And Allen got the hell beat out of him tonight because of it. You could tell a couple of those hits really smarted. Bounced his head the one time. Was worried there. The nameless maniac is in the house. Hey there, Patriots fan here. Hey, good game, congratulations. Didn't think we'd win admittedly, but I'll ride the high. It started horrible in the first half, but was a great game at the end. Hopefully we see this matchup in the wild card. That would mean the Bills are not winning the number 1 seed. So from that standpoint, I do not hope. But I'll tell you what, you need to get a nice fruit basket, maybe with a bottle of white wine and some chocolates, and send it to Joe Brady. We're making a headlong trip over his genitalia tonight with the way that game was called. I'm anxious to see it because I'm stuck on the jet sweep to Knox in the first series in the fumble, and I'm anxious to see what some of my perhaps calmer and perhaps better educated coverage guys say about that. That jet sweep is never going to work. Yeah, if you're going to run it. Run it to Curtis Samuel or Elijah Moore. Jet, that word, it implies fast. Now, if you go look up, it's not supposed to mean fast. There's jet motion and fly motion. Fly motion is fast behind the quarterback. Jet motion is fast in front of the quarterback. But that was awful tonight. Holding the opponent to 23 points is not an indictment of the Bills' defense. The Bills need to score on every drive. MVP, anyone? Thank you. Terry Jordan, you have to make it. Oh. Yeah, man. I mean, it's you got the MVP. You got to make that work, and you have to supply him with layups. Just because he's the MVP doesn't mean he needs to be doing MVP stuff. Run some stuff that will work. I mean, you've got guys that can get open. You've got enough protection. You got a guy that can throw the ball. Run some layups. Stop trying to be cute. What happened? Did Brady not get to see the Christmas special about Rudolph? I'm cute. I'm cute. Yeah, you were cute tonight, pal. Divisional matchups, always close. Remember the Patriot win in the Freeze game a couple of years ago. It does. I mean, listen, they were a road divisional dog. That is the most dangerous opponent you can face, a road divisional dog. I would say, on the other hand, one of the most dangerous teams the Atlanta Falcons could face will be this Bills team next Monday night. By the time McDermott gets done with them this week. I'm pretty sure of that. No, there wasn't any gin in this. Gary Jordan, you have to make it one-dimensional. Well, you can't make it six-dimensional at least. Now the Bills have to return the favor in Foxborough. Well, that's true. And a point I have been thinking about making earlier this evening, not on the show here, but I wrote it down here. Secretariat. And I'm talking about, of course, the horse, Secretariat. And for those of you who don't remember, this was like in the 70s. Secretariat, probably human or animal, one of the greatest athletes ever on the planet. He was amazing. I mean, most racehorses, their heart weighs about 7.5 pounds on average. Secretariat's heart, they determined upon his autopsy, weighed 22 pounds. He was able to deliver blood flow to his muscles and so much more oxygen, so much more efficiently and quicker than other horses. But if you watched any of Secretariat's races, how he got started, he wasn't winning right from the beginning. He had to kind of learn to win. And then when it came to the Triple Crown, and I believe it was in 1973, and go watch the Disney movie. It's actually pretty darn good about him. And the horse that was contending with Secretariat in most of those races was called Sham. And Sham was very fast, and Sham would have the thing of liking to get out ahead of Secretariat and try to wear Secretariat down. And what ended up happening in the Kentucky Derby, the first of the Triple Crown, that Secretariat started off in the back of the pack, and his owners were worried about it. Well, yeah, what are you doing here? Secretariat used to like to let the competition get in front of him. He did not want to burst out and win from the start. This is a horse, and this is what the horse wanted. The horse would rather let the competition get out in front of him and run him down. And in the Kentucky Derby, that's precisely what happened. Sham got out fast. Secretariat didn't get sucked into following quickly, and eventually Sham fell back, or I think he was second, but Secretariat came in and won it right at the end. Just like if the Bills had won with a field goal with 2 seconds left tonight, or like they did in week 1, which seems like a century and a different life ago. And it was the same in the second race. You had the Kentucky Derby, and then you had the Preakness Stakes. And it was the very same. Secretariat let him get out in front and caught up. And I was thinking this thing with the Bills of letting maybe a need to have the team get out in front so they felt challenged. But if that was the case, they just let it get away from them tonight. And then finally in the Belmont Stakes, just to finish the Secretariat story, which that was the longest of all the races. That was 1.5 miles. And Secretariat, it was almost a match race. There was only 5 horses in it, but Sham was still in it, that his competitor. And Sham took off quickly, and Secretariat passed him, and that Secretariat just kept on running. And you could hear the guy calling the race. He's like a machine. He won the race by like 30 lengths or something. Just no stopping him. That was Secretariat's Super Bowl, and that's where you do that. Otherwise, you're trying to catch up. But I thought, are the Bills trying to play Secretariat by letting this team get a little ahead so they can come back? But it got away from them tonight. It got away from them tonight. And just like, the point when I was talking with Arthur Moats last Wednesday night, that these teams are all good. They're all talented. There aren't teams that are so extremely more talented than others. It's all pretty balanced. You've got to be really good to get into the NFL. Like Arthur mentioned during the show, I mean, you got guys in the practice squad, they're like all-American. They were the best in their state. They were the best at their colleges. I mean, the NFL is just the best of the best of the best. So if everybody's talented, then what is the difference? And the difference is often experience and leadership. And for those reasons, the Bills should have been successful tonight. And you could see where it started off where it would be. They get a stop. They're moving the ball. They're past midfield. And Joe Brady tries to get cute. I'd like to know what will be said in the room about that. I mean, if Josh Allen has any kind of a say, at some point you say, what in the actual fuck was that? Because I'd be asking that question. What was that? I'm hoping they at least practiced it at some point if they were going to do it. But what happened on that play? Josh Allen handles the ball on every offensive snap. Dawson Knox handles the ball on maybe a play or two per game. I'm thinking that it was Dawson Knox that screwed this up. You'll never hear it. Josh will take the blame for it. Keep on going through these. I've started to get away from getting into your comments. That's what this is all about. Dude, every NFL player is trying to get theirs. No game is a given. Very, very true. You're so pissed. You like I expected a perfect season, and the way to lose it was exactly how they played tonight. Lost it. Yep. Penalties, other quarterback, pants over his head. Max Jones. Max Jones. Did it, yeah. That's true. Drake May was good last year. Yep. The nameless maniac is in the house. Personally, I think the Bills are going to be fine. It's how I reacted after the Pats struggled immensely against the Raiders. Now, if only Ramondre Stevenson wasn't the worst RB1 in the league. Well, yeah, and now, Gibson got hurt pretty good tonight, didn't he? On that kickoff return where there was the fumble. Bills had a couple of opportunities to pick up fumble balls tonight and did not do it. You've got to be present enough. I think the Bills are going to be fine, too. We have to get down to the reasons this game was lost. I mean, you got to identify some of the stuff that happened, and it just can't happen. I won't mention the jet sweep again, but I'm going to dream about it. I know that. Milano White, get them out if there are any remainders of the era that ain't got it. Started with the Texans playoff loss, and White missed tackles in that OT versus the Texans. You know, it makes you wonder how much the Bills were really living off Hyde and Poyer for a long time. You know, I think Taylor Rapp's not as good as he was in past years. I think Cole Bishop can be good, but Cole Bishop needs to learn more and get more experience. And a lot of the defense needs to just have more experience. But, man, you've got to get, retreads out of there. You've got to have some studs playing corner, or at least with some speed to recover. You can't have guys sitting wide open, and if you're getting pass rush to the extent you got tonight, and if you're getting that quarterback off the spot to the extent it was tonight, especially if that quarterback is being forced outside, where now, as a defender, you use inside leverage. Essentially, you're using the boundary as another defender and squeeze those guys out. You cannot have guys sitting there on their tiptoes ready to catch the ball on the sideline. Where were they? So if there's any defensive gripe, it's definitely on secondary and especially corners. And the other thing I have to mention is that it's like when the Lions put the big thumping onto the Ravens. So one thing I noticed about the Lions is they got big thumping linebackers. Jack Campbell. I mean, we seem to like be favoring these smallish, faster linebackers that could apparently have the tools to be able to cover, but I don't see him covering. I mean, there's guys you got a collision guys close to the line of scrimmage. There's even a book called Collision Low Crossers, and that is exactly what needs to happen. Question, do you rant after a win or only losses? Well, I don't know. This is the first loss since I've been doing post games because the Ralph rant really got going back in April or so when I started doing a few videos. I had done one years ago. I did the video 2 weeks after Josh Allen was drafted. You can find it on my channel. It's back when I shaved my head. The cameras are shitty. The audio is shitty and all that stuff. But I predicted Josh Allen's greatness back then. And I was surprised no one else could see it. But I'll always find something to rant about. Law of averages. First 4 games, scored a touchdown on the first drive. You know that can't happen all year. I know it can't happen all year, but I prefer if you not do stupid things that prevent it from happening. Things that are within your control, like the play calling. The nameless maniac. Now, one thing I will say is that the run game being somewhat stopped outside of Allen scrambling was expected in my mind. The Patriots D has been genuinely great. Williams and Barmore are studs. Yeah. And Milton was supposed to be, hurt. Didn't look that bad to me tonight. And that's definitely for sure. And you needed to be prepared for that. But the one thing you need to do is you can't give up running. There was no reason to run some of those plays, especially that jet sweep. I mean, there was no reason to do that, especially not at that point of the game. I mean, what is Brady thinking? I cannot wait to hear the pressers. Not only that, when you flush May out, where is he going to be throwing? To the sidelines. Why can't no one recognize that? Well, that's what I was saying before. I mean, if you got this guy, as much as they want to call him Josh Allen, he's not going to throw across his body to in between the hashes from the sideline. Where did his throws go when he was pressured to the boundary? They went to the boundary. Where were people there to stop that? I mean, you should have been able to anticipate. I mean, Trey White hurt you a lot tonight. If you want to talk about defense, Trey White. I still believe Joe Brady is the prime cause for this. Milano was done for the season. I don't know. I haven't heard that. He was good enough to go out and play with this pec injury he had, but it's. I mean, the Bills knew this. They changed the contract. They're done with him after this season, and I'm hoping. I was hoping that he could be decent enough where he might be some trade bait because the only problem with when you're trading for someone is you're responsible for their contract, especially if that contract has extra years on it. Well, in the case of Milano, there aren't any extra years. So the Bills, the only dead cap they would acquire would be that which is left over from just the games he hasn't played this year, if they could have perhaps traded him somewhere. And there might be a team that could use them. There are a lot of crap teams in the league. Woke's joke. Love your channel, bro. You say it how it is and how we all feel. Others sugarcoat it. Well, I've been known to be a homer too, but when I get pissed, I get pissed. And my presence on this channel is not the first time someone could say that, yeah, he's that asshole, because I am tonight. And I'm hot tonight. I wouldn't have been so hot if the Bills had got like the hell beat out of them, where or someone got hurt or something like that, I'd be sad then and downcast. But this was stupid. You should have won this football game. I mean, you're trying to go win a Super Bowl. You have to be able to pull this off, and this was not Super Bowl caliber, championship caliber. This wasn't even playoff caliber. Might have to put some graffiti on those signs in the locker room. I have people on YouTube saying I can't criticize Joe Brady. Like, you're kidding me? There's always room for improvement. Yeah, Brady, it's just too cute, a little too smarmy. Because now I love all things Bills, but I've detected this in some of his pressers, and now the next time I hear him in a presser with some of this smarmy kind of stuff, it's gonna piss me off. Like boxing, Bills lost a round, but at the end they will be victorious. Yeah, well, it's and like I was just mentioning something about it. They gotten the hell beat out of them. Well, they didn't, and losses do happen, and you've got to learn from them. And sometimes you can't learn as much. I mean, this game could have been 23-20 the other way. Perhaps just a few plays, few differences. And we'd be all like, no, I would be all like, oh, the Bills are like Secretariat. They like people to get out in front of them and to catch up. But I don't know if you learn as much, because let's say that 90% of the mistakes were the same mistakes if you'd won 23-20 rather than lost. Do you learn as much if it's a win, or do you learn more when you get smacked and you've lost? I think that's the case. I think this team is going to be pretty pissed off next Monday night in Atlanta. I do believe that. Hey, Tommy, you're in. I'm running the show late. You must have done. I don't know how to end these, and now I've got all these people in here for therapy. We've got 59 in the house. If you want to hear some good ranting, go check out Tommy at the Mafia Sports Report. I'm sure their post-game show was rather interesting. In fact, I have to even look at the halftime show, because I would like to right now get an over-under on how many times Tommy used the word ugly in his halftime report, because it was ugly. Collinsworth hates the Bills, yeah. And so does Rodney Harrison, and so does Tony Dungy. And then Collinsworth kid is a punk. It's like, whose son are you? What are you doing on this broadcast? Really? I watched golf and tennis without much commentary. The British know. Yeah, that's for sure. When I watch British stream sports, I let the crowd and the play do the talking. It makes it so much better like you were there. Again, like I said earlier, I'm paying to watch games. Why can't I have a choice to find the announcer button and go off? Too young. Okay. Now here's a guy. Every play should be designed to score a touchdown. Knock sweep, potential touchdown? Not. It is really all on Joe. Yeah, I'm starting to get some believers on that. That means fast. This dude is straight spitting logic. I agree with you, and the uniform sucks. Terry Jordan in the house. T. Young. Wow, as a fellow Kentuckian, I didn't know that about Secretariat. That's pretty cool. That's how far behind I am on all the comments here. Hey, man, first time in the stream. Sorry for the loss. Ugly game tonight. Penalties and turnovers cost the game. Here's the good stretch of a winning streak. Well, yeah, they got one got it out of their system. I do believe that any NFL team that, when you're continuing to win, winning is so hard in the NFL, I think it builds up a pressure. That's why we have not seen a perfect season except once. That was basically 28 to 48, 53 years ago in 1972. And then the Patriots, went 16-0, and there was a horrifying loss. Sorry, it was pretty funny to the Giants. So I think it's actually almost impossible, and probably not the best idea to even consider it. Northern Nevada guy, trips in history, time to go to bed. Are the Patriots back? Could be. Long way to go. Yes, it is time to go to bed. 2 hours and 10 minutes. Am I nuts? The Bills should have went for a pass interference call, the 40 for the game-winning field goal. Yeah, what the hell was that? What were you expecting to do? I mean, I realize Josh can only throw the ball 35 or 40 yards. So why would we expect it to go way downfield? Thank you. Thank you for that. The difference is the will to win by not making mistakes and making easy plays. Well, you just got to be in a rhythm. And they were taken out of the rhythm by themselves. Winning is making easy plays look automatic and just grinding the end zone. Yeah, layups. Absolutely layups. Now I'll say the biggest issue with the Pats, in my opinion, is our linebackers in coverage. We constantly getting smoked in that regard. I've seen Josh's greatness first drive ever. Played a dude's winner. I always said the coaches are the weak link. Boss Antelope 86 in the house. The Bills shouldn't have looked as poor as they did. You have that absolutely right. That was inexcusable. Tommy's laughing at something, probably at my bitching. No, he's saying I'm not lying. That's for sure. Coach always says that it's hard to win this league. You need 50-plus guys on their game. Yeah, it is hard to win in this league. And, and it's the only thing that's easy in this league is it's easy to make it hard for yourself. Because far more games are lost than they are won. At any rate, I've reached about the bottom of the comments. I think I'm about done bitching. I've been at it for 2 hours and 12 minutes here. Guys, thank you so much for joining me tonight. If you are new here, please just take the nanosecond it takes to hit that subscribe button. I'm trying to get up to 1,000 subs sometime this season. That would be awesome. Go ahead and hit like. All your comments are greatly appreciated. This will be out on video, of course, sometime tomorrow at 2 hours and 13 minutes. It'll probably take a month for it to upload actually as a video, but it will be there. But you can subscribe right now, and I'll be coming at you all season. We're going to have some good guests. Of course, we had Arthur Motes on last Wednesday night. We are on Wednesday night at 8 p.m. every night, and then you'll see me popping up maybe on a couple of other shows or jumping on with my good buddy Tommy at Mafia Sports Report. Go ahead and check out that channel. Subscribe there too. And I'm going to let you go because it's been a long night and we need to get some sleep and get this thing behind us. So with that, I say thank you. Good night. God bless. Be good, do good, and go Bills. This is the Ralph Rant. I am the Ralph, and it's time to be out. So good night.